Hey everyone, thank you
Hello.
for
Hello.
thanks for making the time. I will preempt this discussion with I think it may yes, you can say hi. You want to say hi? Okay, say hi. Do you see Mark and
Hello.
Albert and Remy?
Hey. Hi.
Yeah. Okay, why don't you
Hello.
go finish eating breakfast? I was gonna say my son is eating breakfast and he will likely be running around, so he preempted me saying that. So um, thank you for the time. Thanks for joining. Good to see everybody again.
Yep.
Um, I think, yeah, so I wanted to start off and just check in with everybody, see how everyone's doing. I know this is a rough time and don't feel like you need to share anything. But kind of what prompted me and wanting to talk about this is really expressing gratitude. So I'm so grateful for the whole team. Last week was a tough week for me on a few different factors, and seeing kind of seeing the good work that everyone on the team's doing and just getting the support from everyone, it was really great, and I'm very appreciative of that. I think everyone is going through some challenges that they probably didn't plan on going through with coronavirus and everything else. And it's, for me, the thing that I've been finding a lot of comfort in is being a GitLab and having a lot of resources, but then specifically on this team, seeing the support that everyone provides each other, and in moments where you may not even realize it, but just like a little nudge or a little help, always kind of like always means a lot to me. So thank you for that. And I think in general, how I'm doing is this week is looking up compared to last week, and looking forward to keeping that trend going. Remy, what about you?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think for me it's the same. Work is helping, keeping the keeping me busy. I would say. And yeah, it's I agree. It's nice to have such a great team, having your back and always going forward. Yeah, personally, I'm doing good. Everyone is doing good around me, my family, friends. I have a friend that got the virus actually, and I mean, he's not sure that he wasn't tested, but I think he's out of it now. He recovered. But yeah, otherwise, Gwen is doing good. I mean, yeah, we are not in the worst position because we have a garden. We are in an area where there is good weather usually. Not today. It rained this morning, but I was actually looking forward to seeing some rain, so that was nice. So yeah, frankly, it's for me, it's doesn't change a lot, but I still miss like volleyball and social stuff for sure. So we have some gathering with friends over hangouts, stuff like that, more than usually. So that's fine. That's nice because we don't actually do this kind of things, and it's nice to actually see friends more often than in normal times. Yeah. So yeah, good time for bonding and socializing again. Yeah, Mark, what about you?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, work's great because it keeps me busy. Because I'm self-isolating at the minute because I've been symptomatic since last week. Here in Scotland, we're not sure whether, we can't actually get tested unless we've been symptomatic for a week, but then it's still quite difficult to be tested. So the guidance is just stay at home. And if you're symptoms are related to the virus, then you can't spread it on. So I've been stuck at home for a long time now. We're on our second week since not Sunday, the Sunday before, which is tough because we haven't been able to go out. We've been out once in the past week. And yeah, hopefully it'll get better, but it's good to have work to keep me busy. The challenges are just going out in the day. I can't go for walks, can't go to the shops, but understand that it's not about the individual. We've got to stop or prevent the spread of it, and that's the guidance here. So yeah, we're trying to shop online, but that's kind of a struggle as well. But in general, we're doing okay. The family's good, and everyone around us is good. The government are starting to send out antibody tests, which test to see whether you've had the virus. So hopefully we should get one of those soon, so we can determine whether we've actually had it. But in general, it's fine. Just trying to stay busy and just focus on work and other hobbies, because thankfully I have some hobbies which I can do inside. I don't need to go outside to do those. But that's my update. What about you, Albert?
Sorry to hear that. I hope things go fine for you. For me, I think so far it's quite calm. Like for me personally, it's been okay. We are not affected too much by the restrictions that is being put in place. I mean, there's more and more restrictions, but people still have some sort of degree of freedom to move around. So yeah, I think we are quite all right. There are only some inconveniences, like for example, because we just came back from overseas a few weeks ago. So my wife has to, her company requires everyone to just return to take the temperature every day and then submit it online. And then the ministry in Singapore is also asking people who have just traveled to also submit their locations once a day or something, just to keep track of people's movement. So, yeah, it's a bit of inconvenience and sort of intrusive, I would say, a lot of data collection, data being collected, like personal information, where we are. But yeah, things that we have to go through it, and I feel that it's for the good of the community, so we have to go through it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it for me.
The one thing I just kind of want to reiterate that I think is being shared in our department calls is, if you need time, if you get to the point where things are a little bit stressful and you need time, please take it. Last week there's a few days a week where I just kind of stopped work a few hours early, and I've blocked off some family time on my calendar that I try not to have meetings on, so that I can just have another reason to be grateful for the day with these little ones that are just screaming in the background. But yeah, always, friends and family first. Just put that to the forefront. Work can always wait. It's okay to not be the most productive you've ever been during a global pandemic. That's a realistic. That's very realistic view. So I just want to reiterate that here. Cool. So on to the announcement. Sorry, Albert, did you have something?
No, just thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
in the announcements, one thing that I just wanted to call out that I'll be trying, and if anyone else is interested or curious after the fact, I'd be more than happy to talk about it, is I saw that Brittany broadcast, she shared that Simple Habit is a new like meditation mental health app that we're trying out for a month. So I installed that. I do Modern Health. I think, you know, as we're entering more like stressful and anxious times, I'm always curious to see if there's tools that GitLab provides that can help. This is something I'll be trying out. If you're curious how it works or you want to try it out, I'd encourage you to do it or ask, and I'll definitely share. The next announcement is the department call. The department conversation is this Wednesday. I've linked to the slides. Feel free to go in and make any adjustments that you want on this. And if you want to ask, like, feel free to ask in Slack. Like, if you're not sure about a change, feel free to ask, and we'll go from there. Mark, I see you added a question. My apologies, skipping over that. My understanding is Modern Health is still being used. Like, I still have an active app on that. I just think there's more context in the merge request, I'll say, if there's like an evaluation going on, but I'm not as close to the details to be able to speak to it. Cool. Any other announcements that didn't make it in here that anyone would like to share? Okay, great. So moving into the agenda, I wanted to bring this up for discussion related to CI efficiency. So here, one of the things that came up yesterday in the, I'll say, rapid action CI minutes was identifying where we are using shared runners. And how this ties into efficiency is it's more costly for jobs to run on those compared to our private runners or other runner options. One of the things that's being done is looking at where we're leveraging Docker and Docker a little bit more. And then I think we as a team can help document best practices, identify pipelines that are not adhering to those, and help provide guidance on how to fix them, maybe take a corrective action if that team is not able to prioritize it and we're hitting a high amount of jobs that are hitting that. I would say that should be limited. We should be helping to like advise and guide, not necessarily do, would be my preference, but you know, we may have to do that. I think this would be something that's going to become a higher focus towards the end of Q1. So maybe in the next few weeks, start of Q2. But just want to share any questions or discussion on this. Remy, you want to vocalize your point here?
Yeah, so thanks for creating the charts. I wanted to see how many unique projects were using the shared runners. And so I created a new chart and also created an issue to like list all these projects so that we can see the progress that is made. Yeah, so nothing to add here. Yeah, I agree that we should document the best practices and help for the migration. Like it's not a migration, but yeah, like add the default tags basically.
Yeah. Yep. And Albert, I think you were involved in the SAST. I don't remember the specifics on that SAST issue, but with Tomasz kind of like documenting it, and I think that initially called that to my attention. So thanks for nudging that to the documentation spot as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Okay. The other thing, and this is, I put this in the agenda just in case we wanted to have any discussion on it. Excuse me. But I closed the issue to transition GDK to group ecosystem. I merged the MR that I mentioned the team on to remove it from our team. I know when we did our last set of reviews, GDK was one of the items on there. My plan is to our plan was to kind of iterate on that process a little bit more and be a little bit more formal. So take some lessons learned at the department level and incorporate that into the next round. But this will be something that we look to reevaluate, and my goal is to be more transparent about that ahead of time. So align some of the like responsibilities with each career level with what's in the handbook a little bit better than how it is right now. So I'm excited to see where the ecosystem team can take it. I know our focus has been very like on P1, S1 issues, blocking issues, and we narrowed it a lot more once this team was getting created. I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. Any discussion or any questions on this? Okay.
No, it's nothing.
Yeah, I think
No questions.
Okay.
yeah, it's
okay.
good that there is a team dedicated for that.
Yeah, I think you know, I'm always kind of sad to let a responsibility go, but I think it's best in this case. But like for both parties, I think it'll allow us to focus more on where we have a really good skill set and can provide a lot more value, and then that dedicated focus within the ecosystem will help drive it forward throughout, you know, the wider GitLab community. So
yeah.
Mark, over to you on triage report change.
Yeah, so I'm just looking for some feedback on this because we've wanted to do this for a little while, but I haven't really brought it up in the meeting. But to me, it seems like a good idea to target the untriaged issues instead of just the unlabeled issues. But untriaged will encompass unlabeled issues, so we're not going to just forget about the unlabeled issues. I think it's quite an easy change to make from the perspective of the triage team, because nothing's really going to change. They're still going to use the same list. They're still going to have the same number of items to look at, and we'll just do it in the same way. Yeah, I was just reaching out for any feedback on this and whether anyone thinks it's a really bad idea or a really good idea.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Remy.
Yeah. No, thanks. I was going to say that to me it seems like a good idea. The only question that I would have is like if we enable that, I think currently in the triage report we show, I think, the last X issues like sorted by last created, I think, like the creation date. Would we still keep that, and would that mean that until we triage all the issues that don't have like would that mean, yeah, like my question is that I wouldn't want issues without any label to be triaged after other issues. I don't, you know.
Yeah, it's
and
still going to focus on the most recent issues. So by creation date, going backwards. So unlabeled ones will be still be popping up at the top of that list, and then the other ones, the other untriaged ones that are a little bit older, will start creeping into the list at the bottom.
I see.
So there is a big backlog, but I imagine the work on some of these untriaged issues also won't be as much. It'll just be adding a label here or there, and it won't be the back and forth between reporters and stuff that we're used to. So it should actually be a little bit quicker for everyone, unless you still get a lot of unlabeled issues in your section.
Cool. Yeah, one thing that I think is important if we make this change is to let everyone know, like all the triagers know, and in general, everyone that basically communicates broadly that it's important to meet the triage, like the triage guidelines, so that issues doesn't like issues don't come up in the triage report again and again because people don't like fully triage issues. Otherwise, that could.
Yeah, so if someone
work.
removes a required label, it will end up back in the list.
Yeah, for example.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can add something when we make this change and communicate out the importance of that, so that backlog doesn't really grow more than it needs to.
Yeah.
One of the things, Mark, I know we had chat about this earlier, is it might be worth being very explicit with like the quantitative objective is to reduce the number of untriaged issues, but maybe a counter measure to that is looking at recent time to triage so that we're not sacrificing unlabeled issues, which is like I would say a really big interaction with our community contributors. So seeing if that number is increasing, we may want to reevaluate. And reevaluate is maybe too strong. We may look to iterate and just change what we're doing for this triage package. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to monitor. Yeah, I don't think we should sacrifice the responsiveness to the community. I think that's really, really important and something that we should strive to continue. And the other thing is, like, I think it's if people have fast responses or timely responses on issues, they'll raise more, and they'll be willing to interact more, and we don't want to disturb that. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. And honestly, interacting with community members is like through that through that responsibility is one of the things I really enjoy about that expectation. I had an issue where I got mentioned by a community contributor that I've worked with on a few issues through that package, who was having like a big problem. He was just like, Kyle, help me, like you're the only person who can help here, because it's like no one else responds to me. So it's great to kind of advocate for community members through that package. I enjoy it. So, okay.
Sorry, I'm just not clear on like what would be the different criteria between what previously it was unlabeled issues. So what would be the criteria for the new report? So
any issues without type labels, group labels, stage labels will fall into this. So that includes unlabeled issues as well.
Okay.
So there might be, there might be issues which were created a couple of months ago that are missing the labels. And the reason why we really want to keep that issue and label hygiene up is that this is the way they filter down into the group's own triage reports. If they have a bug label, but they're missing a stage or a group label, then they won't filter down into those for the managers to see.
And does it need to have all the stage, the group, and the category, or just one of them?
All of them.
All of them. Okay.
But we should infer, like, let's say there's group, we should infer stage from that. So we infer up, but if like group is missing but stage is there, that's where we wouldn't necessarily infer that, and it would show up in the report. Correct, Mark?
Yeah, or if say a team member raises a new bug and they just label it with merge requests or some other category label, we can infer the others. So those particular issues shouldn't filter into this at all.
And then longer, like after this change, looking to increase the amount of automation for inference of type labels and things like that is kind of what's next. So by switching this to untriaged, it really allows us to focus on where the invisible issue report is, because these issues just exist, but are potentially not getting any action at all.
Yeah,
Like they're not feeding into any of the reports, and then the automation will kind of help reduce that untriaged backlog further, or at least lighten the load of the triage package.
Cool.
okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, so just a note, I've checked the dry run, and out of the 66 issues that are reported there, there's only 16 unlabeled issues. So that means that we are currently not doing a good job at meeting the triage criteria, because these are recent issues but still untriaged based on the criteria. So it's just a note, but I think over time, if we are doing a good job, we should see more in the first. At first, we should see more unlabeled issues until we decrease the backlog of unlabeled issues, and then we should see only untriaged issues, and hopefully be able to go back in time in the backlog. But yeah, cool.
Okay. Sorry, I missed. I was listening and I missed that note. I'll look to add it after my next one here. The last thing I wanted to call attention.
I can type it.
Oh, okay. The last thing I wanted to call attention to in the agenda is, we switched up the team meeting format a little bit to try and make it more efficient. I've been intentionally putting less things in here, so I don't want to I always want to encourage anyone to add something to the agenda ahead of time. But I am going to try and lean on async communication a lot more than I had been within this meeting. So communicating in issues, mentioning the team. And then we do have a number of people within the department and outside the department who review our agenda, like this document, on a weekly basis, just to kind of see what's going on. So I think to help stem that off and pull together some of the things that are maybe happening only async now, I'll be looking to share more in Slack, potentially in Quality. Just these are some of the things that we're making progress on or considering, so that people can provide input. I've had other managers ask questions upon seeing something within our agenda, and not necessarily participate, like who are not asking in public, that I want to make sure they still have the opportunity to provide input on. So, but I do want to encourage, this is our meeting. I think for a while, I went really strong at making sure the things that I thought were important are in here. I'm dialing that as far back as I can. So if anyone on the team feels that there's something important that's not being discussed on here, please add it. Don't, exactly what Mark did is a really great example. It's not a ton of detail to start, and we can discuss it more and add the detail as the discussion happens. I really welcome those sort of things to be added to the agenda. Okay. Any other items in the agenda or any discussion? Great. Okay. I hope everyone has a good rest of your day, and you stay safe. I will catch up with you async the rest of the week.
Cool. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Have a good week.
Thank you,
everyone.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.